We were discussing about centrifugal compressor. In that, we have seen the work done expression, the velocity triangles, efficiency expressions, etc. Now, this is the continuation of that. Here, we discuss surging and choking basically, and you can see so many figures out here. Here, in the leftmost part, you can see the figure. This is the Euler's head, that is the pressure head, by using the equation Vw to U2 by sorry Vw to U2 minus Vw1 U1. So that is the theoretical head where we do not consider slip or non-uniform velocities. Actually, if you see the section of cross section of the flow through the impeller, then you can see there is a velocity distribution. Okay, so it cannot be uniform. So if you consider the non-uniform velocities, there will be some losses. So this can be the theoretical one, and if you consider the slip as well as non-uniform velocities, this is called as actually idle head. And furthermore, if you again take into consideration the inlet loss, friction, separation loss, or losses on diffuser, then the behavior of the head, which is actual head, comes as L through that L to M, like this. Now, if you add up all these losses, the loss behavior shows like this. When the mass flow rate increases, the total loss also increases. Now, understanding all these characteristics, we can define or we can set the operating point. That is the uses of analyzing all these things. Now, coming to the rightmost side, we will see what is surging. See, this is, you can see L, M, N and P, where there is choking, and L is, this is the pressure ratio, this is the mass flow rate, and here at this point the pressure ratio is maximum. Beyond this, when the pressure ratio is when the pressure ratio is further, sorry, mass flow rate is further decreased, then you cannot operate the compressor at this left part of this L. Now we will see what is surging. Now the compressor is running in equilibrium condition at N if the flow is restricted by using some valves or by means of any resistance of flow. By increasing the resistance, you can restrict the flow. Now the mass flow rate gets decreased. Now what happens? This equilibrium point is shifted towards the left point, that is N is shifted to M, and if you further reduce the flow rate, it comes to L, where the pressure ratio is maximum. And again, if you reduce the mass flow rate, the pressure ratio in the downstream of the system will be higher than the compressor delivery pressure. And what happens, you already know, the fluid flow from higher pressure area to lower pressure area. Now if the reverse happens, then the flow will stop or it can cause a reversal. So such a phenomenon is called as surging. Now again, when it continuously rotates it at a constant constant speed, when this happens again, after some time, after some short duration of time, the compressor starts to deliver the fluid. Now the pressure again, now the pressure starts to increase, and the operating point downstream of the system, the pressure starts increasing, and the mass flow rate will get decreased, and the operating point will shift to N to M and again to L. Now beyond this, the flow cuts down. Okay, and the cycle will be repeated again, it comes back and this cycle again repeats, and this is called as surging, and it happens at very high frequency. Now remember this figure, and using this figure you can explain this very easily, I think. Now coming to the choking, you see this is just opposite to that. Here the mass flow rate decreases. Now you go to the right hand side of this, through the x-axis, mass flow rate increases. When the rotor is at constant speed, the velocity component of the impeller tip remains constant. Now with increase in mass flow rate, the pressure decreases. You can see the pressure ratio decreases. That means downstream of the pressure is getting decreased, and hence when the pressure is getting decreased means the density is also getting decreased. When pressure increases, then only density increases. Now the pressure is decreasing means density is decreasing. Consequently, the relative, not radial velocity, the relative velocity is also increased considerably. And when relative velocity increases, what happens? The absolute velocity also will get increased, as well as the incident angle at the diffuser vane tip also increases. And what happens? There is a rapid progress. Then whenever there is a flow rate, by equation m dot is equal to rho a v1, rho 1 a1 v1, or rho av, where velocity increases, then mass flow rate also increases. That particular phenomenon is called as choking state. So whenever the mass flow rate is beyond the operating condition, then the fluid will not escape, is it? There is some choking type of thing. It is just, I will tell you, when the bell rings in the schools in the evening, what will happen? All the students at once comes to the towards the door, and what happens there? There is a jamming condition. The mass flow rate increases, then it is not easy to escape through the door. So such thing happens. That is actually choking. The very word meaning only. Okay. So I hope you understood that. Now you see this figure. These are the curve, the same curve what you have seen here, pressure ratio curves. So this is at different speeds, and you can see this is the maximum pressure ratio points, these points, and this is the surge line. Surge line means at this speed this will be the minimum mass flow rate where it is operable. If it decreases beyond this, if the mass flow rate decreases beyond this, then it won't work. Okay, the same thing happens here. So this part is actually shown by this surging line. So this part is actually shown by this line for different speeds. So this part there is surging. Okay, so this is actually surge line, and this is design point, and you can see the efficiency curve for that. Efficiency curve for all these speeds, efficiency curves, and that's it about this figure. Now this is power consumed. Power increases when the mass flow rate increases, the speed, and along with that speed also increases, and when that happens the power consumed also increases, and you can see the behavior of efficiency also. Now next we will move to axial flow compressor. The air intake takes place in the frontal area to the compressor. You can see the rotating blades as well as the stator blades, and this is the combustion chamber. The air is compressed and it is fed to the combustor, where the combustion of gases happens, and it is again fed to the hot gases are fed to the gas turbine, and it is exhausted. You can see one more picture here. These are the rotating blades which is attached to this hub. Now when we draw the velocity triangles, the shape of this blade is in aerofoil shape. So you look at from the top, this stator blade and this rotor blade, this consists of a stage, and there are n number of stages throughout this compressor. So there are two components, one is rotor and stator, we have already seen. Rotor carries moving blades and stator has stationary rows of blades which converts kinetic energy of air into pressure energy. So it is the duty of stator to increase the pressure energy, or which converts the kinetic energy of the fluid into pressure energy, and also it directs or it redirects the flow at an angle suitable for entry to the next row of moving blades. Both rotor and stator blade passages are basically diffusers. A stage compresses one rotating row followed by a stator row. Sometimes in the initial stage, a row of so-called inlet guide vanes, that is IGV, is provided upstream of the first rotor, forming an additional row of stator blades. These IGVs serve to direct the axially approaching flow correctly into the first row of rotor blades to meet the design and off-design requirements. Now you can see the shape of these blades. So here if you see the cross section, it is decreasing because the mass flow rate should be constant. When it flows through the right, the density will decrease, that is m dot is equal to rho av. So density is increased, now velocity should increase, and accordingly the area is getting decreased. Looking at this figure, here if you see the pressure distribution, this is the inlet guide vane and pressure decreases because of skin friction, and after that this is the first rotor and this is the first stator. Here also the static pressure increases, and in the rotor also obviously the pressure increases. And looking at this velocity distribution, because of the converging nature of the inlet guide vanes, slightly the velocity is increased, and in the rotor, as the mechanical energy is imparted to the fluid, the velocity is increased considerably. In the rotor, in the expense of that velocity, the pressure is increased. So same thing happens in the all the stages. Looking at this figure, you can see the rotor blades. These are the rotor blades, and the motion of this rotor blade is to the right. Here also it is to the right only. This is actually the axis or the shaft, and this is the relative velocity which is tangential to these faces of these blades. This is actually if you consider it as a 3D figure, so this is actually connected to the, so this can be the shape, okay, like this. So this is connected to the hub or the central axial portion. You see the cross section from the top. Now look at this velocity triangle. This is my alpha 1, this is my v1, this is alpha 1. Alpha 1 is the angle with the axis and between the axis and the absolute velocity v1, and this is my relative velocity, so that when it is rotating, the fluid will should enter the compressor in the tangential direction to reduce the shocks. And this is my blade angle, which is beta 2. Blade angle stands for beta, and this is beta 1. And this absolute velocity is resolved into two components, and this vertical component is flow velocity vf1, and this component that is perpendicular to this axis, that component is while velocity vw1. This is actually the flow velocity vf1. Here also the same thing, this will be vf2, and this is my whirl component vw2, that is along the direction of motion of this blade. This is the outlet relative velocity, here vr2, and this is the outlet absolute velocity, which is the inlet to the second. This is rotor, this is stator. and this rotor and this stator comprises of a single stage. Again, this makes alpha 2, the absolute velocity v2 makes an alpha 2 with the axis, and this is vr2, and this is the angle beta 2 in the second stage. You see, after the stator, again there will be rotor here. This is my absolute velocity v3 and this is relative velocity, so that the flow will be tangential to the next rotor. Now this is from the top. I hope you understood that this is my axis or shaft in this direction, that is through the axial direction, and the flow is towards the axial direction only. So that is how it is called as axial flow compressor. See, this is my blade velocity u1 in this direction, and this is my r1 in this direction, and this is my absolute velocity direction, like this. Here also vr2 in this direction, blade velocity in this direction, and absolute velocity in this direction, and this is my u2. Looking at this velocity triangle, this beta 2 is less than beta 1, and absolute velocity v2 is greater than v1, as we have already seen, and vr2 is less than vr1 because of friction losses or spring friction, and this alpha 3 is equal to alpha 1. And one more thing, this flow velocity vf1 is equal to vf2 is equal to vf, and this, you see, from this velocity triangle, this is vr1, its head and the tail is meeting at a point, so I can write vr1 plus u1 is equal to v1, or I say vr1 is equal to v1 minus u1. So the equation is right. So that is how you have to remember this equation, velocity triangle as well. You can say tan alpha 1 plus tan beta 1 is equal to u by vf. That is, tan alpha 1 is, this is my opposite side and this is adjacent side, vf1, and this beta 1, you see, tan beta 1 is equal to this opposite side by this vf1, which is common, and this alpha 1 plus tan beta 1 is this plus this by this plus this by this. That means this whole u by vf1, this is the whole part u, and divided by the common side. So already we have said that vf1 equal to vf2, so we have taken vf only. Now looking at the second figure, I can say the same thing, tan alpha 2 plus tan beta 2 is equal to the same thing, u is this part plus this part, that is u, divided by this common vf2 or vf. So I have these two important relations. Now see the rightmost part, u by vf, so that is the same. Now I can write this tan alpha 1 plus tan beta 1 is equal to tan alpha 2 plus tan beta 2, or I can write this tan alpha 1, I will take this side, this is minus of tan alpha 2, and I will take this to the right hand side, is equal to tan beta 2 minus tan beta 1. So this is very important relationship. Now by Euler's equation, we have work done per unit mass is equal to Vw2 minus Vw1 into U. Actually it is U1 Vw1, sorry, U2 Vw2 minus U1 Vw1. Now as U1 is equal to U2, I can write work done per unit mass flow rate is equal to Vw2 minus Vw1, then U can be taken outside. Now again this is equal to, from this triangle, here the second triangle, tan alpha 2 is Vw2 divided by Vf1. That means Vw2 can be written as Vf2 into tan alpha 2. So this is Vf2 tan alpha 2 minus Vf1 tan alpha 1. Now I know I have already considered Vf1 is equal to Vf2. Now this is equal to Vf tan alpha 2 minus tan alpha 1, and the outside of this expression I have u. So I will write it here. This is u Vf tan alpha 2 minus tan alpha 1. Now I have already derived that tan alpha 1 minus tan alpha 2 is tan beta 2 minus tan beta 1. So this is just opposite. So I'll write this is equal to u Vf tan beta 1 minus tan beta 2. So just remember that when you take the blade angle, this is beta 1 comes first and beta 2 comes second, and if you take the angles of absolute velocities, alpha 2 comes first and alpha 1 comes second. Now if this is T01, which is stagnation temperature at the inlet of the rotor, and this is T02, that is inlet outlet temperature of the rotor, I can define this work done per unit mass as Cp T0, which is stagnation delta T0, which is stagnation temperature difference, that is Cp T02 minus T01, that we have already seen in case of the centrifugal compressor also. Now this delta T0 is actually equal to this Euler's work done, that is u Vf tan alpha 2 minus tan alpha 1. Now this is the theoretical one, theoretical work done, and this can be the actual work done. Now this delta T0 is the actual work done is less than the Euler's work done, and this is not actually equivalent. So this is actually delta T0 is equal to a constant lambda into u Vf tan alpha 2 minus tan alpha 1 divided by Cp. Why? Because we have theoretically we have considered that the velocity, the flow velocity along all these, if we consider this cross section, I have considered this Vf as uniform, but actually it is not uniform. So because of that some losses are there. The value of lambda hence is in between 1 and 0. So there is a reduction of the theoretical work due to losses, and this lambda is called as work done factor. We have discussed it in the centrifugal compressor part also. Just understand what is work done factor, the ratio of temperature, that is isentropic work, by the Euler's work. Now if you draw a TS diagram, these are the constant pressure lines. This is my isentropic work, this is my T01, this is my T03 dash, that stands for isentropic. This is stagnation temperature, and this happens in isentropic process, and this is the actual process like this, and here this is my T03. This pressure is P03 and this temperature is P01. Now considering the actual process, delta T0, that is stagnation temperature difference for the stage, consists of rotor and stator, that is equal to T03 minus T01. That is I consider this actual process. Fine. Now P03 divided by P01, which is the pressure ratio for the stage, I use R letter for the stage pressure ratio or stage, that is equal to T03 dash divided by T01 all raised to gamma by gamma minus 1, because this is, see here the pressure limits are the same, P03 and P01, even if it is isentropic process or actual process. So P03 divided by P01, so I consider this line, this vertical line, this isentropic line. So the relationship between P03 by P01 is equal to T03 dash, okay, for the isentropic process by T01 all raised to gamma by gamma minus 1, because this is the isentropic relation, already we have seen that. Now I define the isentropic efficiency. So here there is a temperature difference and here also there is a temperature difference, so I compare it here. So isentropic temperature stagnation temperature difference is smaller one, that is the energy that I have to give into the compressor, that is smaller one because it is isentropic. T03 dash minus T01 divided by T03 minus T01, this is the actual one and this is the isentropic process. So I compare both these things, and this one is lesser and this one is bigger quantity, and this is actually equal to, we can rewrite this one the same equation, T03 dash by T01 is equal to 1 plus eta s T03 minus T01 divided by T01. So if you try to rewrite the same thing back, you will get it, simple math. Now see, what is this pressure ratio? Pressure ratio is P03 by P01, and that is equal to T03 dash by T01. So for this expression I have got a new expression, so I back substitute that. So I will get P03 by P01 is equal to 1 plus, so I substitute for this one, this expression, 1 plus eta s T03 minus T01 divided by T01 all raised to gamma by gamma minus 1, and this is the expression for small rs. Now the next topic is degree of reaction. I am finding out whether there is a static pressure change in the rotor. Only rotor, I am considering only rotor, okay. So the reaction actually is defined as, reaction or degree of reaction is actually defined as delta H rotor divided by delta H stage. So I am comparing what is the static pressure change in the rotor as well as stator, and I am comparing it with whatever the static pressure change is there in the rotor. So this is actually equal to delta H rotor divided by delta H rotor plus delta H stator. See, if the Cp is constant value, it does not change with respect to time with the change in temperature, not time with the temperature, then Cp here in all these terms will get cancelled out. I can write down this as delta T rotor divided by delta T rotor plus delta T stator, and this is the static temperature difference I am taking here. This is also the static temperature, and this is static temperature difference, and I know W, work divided by per mass flow rate, is equal to Cp delta T0. This is actually stagnation temperature difference, here it is static temperature difference. Now suppose this velocity in the initial stage, that is the absolute velocity, if it is equal to this V3, see I have the stagnation temperature T01 is equal to T1 plus V1 square by 2 Cp, and this T03 is equal to T3 plus V2 square V3 square by 2 Cp. Now suppose that V1 is equal to V3, then this will get cancelled out. Okay, if I equate it, so T01 minus T03 is actually equal to T03 minus T01 is actually equal to T3 minus T1. So if you do with energy equation also, steady flow energy equation also, then also you will understand that. Previously we have done the same thing. So V1 is equal to V3. Now the stagnation temperature difference is actually equal to the static temperature difference. That means W by M is equal to delta T, see this one, Cp delta T 0, which is stagnation, that is equal to Cp delta T, which is the static temperature. Okay. Now this Cp delta T is equal to, and this is for the stage, fine, this is for the stage, remember, that is equal to UVF tan alpha 2 minus tan alpha 1. So we have the degree of reaction R as, we have already discussed that, degree of reaction R as delta T is rotor, and this is the stage, delta T for the stage. So we have already find out the equation for, expression for delta Cp delta T stage, that is equal to Vf tan alpha 2 minus tan alpha 1, and this delta T stage is equal to U Vf by Cp tan alpha 2 minus tan alpha 1, or else I can keep the Cp here only, Cp there only, because on the other expression also Cp will come. Now this W by M is equal to UVF tan alpha 2 minus tan alpha 1, that is actually equal to, so I am splitting the same expression into two. Okay, in rotor what happens, there is a temperature difference, that is static, this is static, and if it is static then it will accompany what, the velocity or velocity difference, or you may write it in this way, this Cp delta T static is equal to W, or this is the same expression W by M, that is U Vf tan alpha 2 minus tan alpha 1 minus of 1 by 2 V2 square minus V1 square. I hope you understood that. Now this is for the rotor, fine. Now R is equal to U Vf tan alpha 2 minus tan alpha 1 minus of 1 by 2, now V2 square minus V1 square. If we go back to our velocity triangles, so this was my Vf, this was my V, and this is alpha. So if I consider this adjacent side and hypotenuse, that will be cos alpha 1 is equal to adjacent side by hypotenuse, that is Vf by V1. Now I want to substitute for this V2 and V1. So if I go to the second triangle, cos alpha 2 will be equal to Vf by V2. Now what is V1? V1 is equal to Vf by cos alpha, Vf by cos alpha, that is equal to sec Vf. Now come back to here. So V2 will be equal to sec alpha 1, so this is alpha 1, sec alpha 1 Bf, and V2 is equal to sec alpha 2, and this is sec square alpha 2 minus sec square alpha 1. Now I have the identity sec square alpha minus tan square alpha is equal to 1. Okay, this is not completed, so this is this divided by this same expression u Vf tan alpha 2 minus tan alpha 1. So I have this identity sec square alpha minus tan square alpha is equal to 1. Now here sec square alpha can be written as 1 plus tan square alpha. So look at here, this is equal to, I am not writing it again because this comes to be 1. So 1 minus, so this expression, that is 1 by 2 Vf square, see this is 1 plus tan square alpha 2 minus 1, this is in the bracket 1 plus tan square alpha 1. In the denominator I have u Vf tan alpha 2 minus tan alpha 1. Here this 1 and 1 will get cancelled out, so this is equal to 1 minus 1 by 2 Vf square tan square alpha 2 minus tan square alpha 1 divided by u Vf. So Vf and this will get cancelled out. Here you see tan square a square minus b square, so a plus b and a minus b will be there. Okay, so this will get cancelled out and this becomes tan, so I am not writing it down, write it once again, 1 minus 1 by 2 u tan alpha 2 plus tan square, sorry no square, tan alpha 1. So this is an expression for R. And again we will go back to the initial equations. See, you will be remembering this one. This is my u, this is alpha 1, this is alpha 1, and see u by Vf is equal to tan alpha 1 plus tan beta 1. And again going to the second triangle, u by Vf is equal to tan alpha 2 plus tan beta 2. So this is equation number 1, this is equation number 2. So 1 plus 2 gives you tan alpha 1 plus tan alpha 2 plus tan beta 1 plus tan beta 2 is equal to 2u by Vf. Now see, I have tan alpha 2 plus tan alpha 1. So tan alpha 2 plus tan alpha 1 is equal to 2u by Vf. I take it on the other side. So this will be minus of tan beta 1 plus tan beta 2. Now see, I have the expression R is equal to 1 by 2u, not 1 by 2u. I have this Vf also here, Vf by 2u. So 1 minus Vf by 2u, and in the bracket the tan alpha 2 plus tan alpha 1, in the bracket 2u by Vf minus of tan beta 1 plus tan beta 2. Now this is equal to 1 minus, I will take it inside. So see, this is just reciprocal, so there will be 1 minus of, so in the bracket 1 minus of, here it will be 1 if I take it into the inside the bracket. This is Vf by 2u tan beta 1 plus tan beta 2, and 1 and 1 will get cancelled out, and minus of minus, that is positive, and this will be equal to Vf by 2u tan beta 1 plus tan beta 2. So this is my R. One more thing, if the degree of reaction is 0.5, that is 1.2, then this will be 1.2 is equal to Vf by 2u tan beta 1 plus tan beta 2. That means tan beta 1 plus tan beta 2 is equal to 2u by Vf into 2. Sorry, this is 1 by 2. So 2 and 2 will get cancelled out. Now remember this u by Vf. So we have two equations. U by Vf is equal to tan alpha 1 plus tan beta 1, and again u by Vf is equal to tan alpha 2 plus tan beta 2. Now see, I take this first expression, then tan beta 1 plus tan beta 2 is equal to tan alpha 1 plus tan beta 1. So this will get cancelled out. Tan beta 2 will be equal to tan alpha 1. That means beta 2 will be equal to alpha 1. One expression. Now second one. If I compare the second one, then tan beta 1 plus tan beta 2 will be equal to tan alpha 2 plus tan beta 2. That means tan beta 2 will get cancelled out. That means beta 1 is equal to alpha 2. This is second one. And we have here alpha 1 is equal to alpha 3 also. See, this is our velocity triangle. See, beta 2 is equal to alpha 1, that is equal to alpha 3. See, alpha 3 is here. This is actually the outlet angle of this. This is the rotor. This is my rotor. And this is my stator. This is the outlet angle of the stator. Outlet angle of the stator. So outlet angle of the stator, that is alpha 3. Outlet angle of stator is equal to beta 2. Beta 2 is here. That is outlet angle of blade angle. Okay, the angle of rotor. Here you see beta 1, that is the inlet angle of rotor, is equal to alpha 2. This is the inlet angle of rotor.